Shalum. Shalom and welcome. Welcome to the White Roads Family Channel. My name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present before an awakening set-apart nation. To those who are drawn by the Almighty Creator, He is the beginning and the end, Yahuah, of whom the name I am compelled to identify Him as, Yahuah the Almighty One, who is Spirit everywhere at all times. These words are to those who are drawn by Him to Yahusha, who represents the name that represents His word, the name in which His Spirit was sent. As mentioned in John 14:26, the embodiment of our salvation, Yahusha. We are drawn to Him, to His word, by He who is Spirit. These messages are to you. But before I get into these words, let me say this: the views expressed in these messages do not necessarily reflect the views of the owners, management, shareholders, and/or sponsors. With that said, in this subsequence to the final Exodus entitled Set Apart Yashar'al in Motion, this is the 20th segment of Yashar'al in Motion. And I want to bring your attention to wisdom, thirsty, and hungry. The words wisdom, thirsty, and hungry. Discover and discern three key end time factors. As I go through these words to you, my brothers and sisters, I want to present some questions to set the stage of Yashar'al. For in the scriptures there are words that people will give that will sometimes promote laziness, slothfulness, that will sometimes cause you not to seek earnestly what the Spirit of the voice of Yahuah is saying in Yahusha's name. Here are some questions to consider during this final Exodus and our final days. Do you want to know what's needed? Do you believe people will seek safety or refuge during times that are described as the tribulation? Do you believe resources will be needed? Water, food, clothing, tools, materials. Do you believe it is important to know what is next? Do you believe communications is important? You see, Yashar'al, so many people want to dismiss the details and processes required for this final Exodus. These are individuals that promote laziness and slothfulness. We will see that as end times ramp up, as conditions and controversies become intense, as destruction comes, many of these questions will demand answers. But the answers that are of set apartness will come from those being used, those who can listen and discern the voice of the Spirit of Abba Yahuah. My brothers and sisters, if you want to know, keep in mind that fear is the beginning of knowledge. So on the matter of fear, knowledge, wisdom, discipline, trust, and refuge, consider these words. The fear of Yahuah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline. Proverbs 1:7. Proverbs 1:7. Also, if you believe that safety is important to these last days, as destruction, as pandemics, as the collapse of infrastructures, as civil unrest and wars and rumors of wars, as all these things that are described in the scriptures begin to get intense, the need for refuge, the need to trust Yahuah, the need to believe in Him is ever so important. Consider Proverbs 14:26, for it reads, "In the fear of Yahuah is strong trust, and His children have a place of refuge. My brothers and sisters, when I talk about processes and details, there are those who will tell you, I ain't worried, y'all gonna take care of me. Oh, I ain't worried, y'all gonna take care of me. He's spreading fear. He's a fear monger. We should fear Yahuah, for in fearing Yahuah, as I read, it's the beginning of knowledge. Fearing Yahuah gives pause to the things that are happening before us to make sure we seek to discern and identify him speaking to us directly or through one of his anointed or whom he has chosen to speak to us. There are those who say, I'm not worried. No, we're not supposed to worry. And we're not supposed to give thought in terms of meditation. But we are supposed to pray without ceasing. We are supposed to walk filled with the Spirit. We are to be obedient. Did Noah say that he not worried an ark would appear? It required work. Even in leading Yashar'al out of captivity, were they just beamed out of Mitzrayim or Egypt? No. Required work, loading up the carts, carrying those that could not carry themselves, guidance, carrying supplies, resources, marching out of Egypt with things that were necessary. Let me read the following, O Yashar'al. As end times get intense, we're not supposed to worry, but we are supposed to pray without ceasing. And I submit to you, prayer is speaking as well as actively listening, looking out for the voice of the Spirit of Yahusha speaking to us, through us, one towards another. Let me read the following, O Yashar'al. Matthew chapter 6, verse 31 through 34. For it reads, do not worry. It didn't say don't pray. It said don't worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what should we wear? For all these the nations seek for, and your heavenly Father knows that you need all these. Seek first the reign of the Almighty One and his righteousness, and all things shall be added to you. Do not then worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow shall have its own worries. Each day have enough evil of itself. So I say don't worry, but we are supposed to be in constant communication in prayer. And in prayer to the Almighty Father, that's speaking to him and listening to him, recognizing that he may speak through a brother or sister, a child. Remember, at one point, he even opened the mouth of a donkey to save the life of a servant. Come with me to 1 Thessalonians 5, 16 through 18. It says, rejoice always. Pray without ceasing. In all circumstances, give thanks, for this is the desire of the Almighty One and Messiah Yahusha for you. So don't worry, but pray, communicate, seek to discern what he is saying during these times for such a time as this. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, let us move into the topic, wisdom, thirsty, and hungry. Wisdom, thirsty, and hungry. Questions to recognize. Expectations. What comes to mind regarding the connections between wisdom, being thirsty, being hungry? You see, O Yashar'al, it would be wise to know why these three key factors are important during these final days. Listen carefully as I present the case for these three key factors. You see, O Yashar'al, in the final Exodus, there are things to take under consideration. And let us begin with understanding why we must seek out wisdom and those that demonstrate it. Keep in mind, Proverbs 9:10 says, the fear of Yahuah is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the set-apart one is understanding. You see, O Yashar'al, a time will come when discipline will prove to be wisdom's companion. Why? There'll be times we will see somebody saying, who drank all the water? Who ate all the food? And there'll be times when we say we have plenty of water, plenty of food, and as it is consumed, we will get more water and more food to accomplish the tasks that are required for the final Exodus. You see, Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, there are disciplines, there are agreements, there are things we must take under consideration. If we just all come together just because we're saying we're Hebrews or Abraham, with no consideration for agreements or discipline when it comes to water and food, and trusting Him, some will carry water. Some will carry the skills and abilities to filtrate water. And some will not worry about the water because He's saying, move from point A to point B, and He will bring water and food. So we don't know who's going to have the water, who's going to have the food, who's going to have the skills and ability to filtrate water or at least identify drinkable water. Wisdom is important. If we do not take under consideration the discipline and wisdom when it comes to being thirsty and hungry, then the greedy seeps in. One person drinks more water than they should, making it difficult for those who do not have. The same with food. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, wisdom brings order and sustainability for survival. I say to you, O Yashar'al, the closest individuals that will be to you, to me, among us, are those who have the wisdom to say, with the water we have, how do we distribute it such that we can successfully move to the points we're supposed to move during this final exodus? To those who have wisdom, they will say, let's see how much food and how we would have to ration it until we get to the points where more food. But if we just accept people because they say they're Hebrews, they'll drink all the water or eat all the food with no regards to others, no regards to discipline, no regards to management, water management, or food management. You see, O Yashar'al, the time will come where we will recognize how the Almighty Father will supply us with drink and with food, and what types of drink and food. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, let us begin having a conversation. Here's a test among you. Come into a fellowship, 2 or more, and set a bottle of cold water right in front of the individual with you or the individuals among you. Set a bottle of cold water and watch what happens. Will somebody just grab it and drink it and say, I got the last bottle of water? Or will they seek to identify who is the most thirsty and give it to that person? Or will they look at ways to share it? These are discussions that must be had. We must understand the discipline when it comes to balancing the resources that will be put before us as the Almighty Father guides us into this final exodus. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, consider these words, and I speak of them often. They do not take vacation. Revelation 3:19, as many as I love, I reprove and discipline, so be ardent and repent. There must be discipline in this final exodus. There must be discipline in these final days. Are you not aware that the Almighty Father brought famine and pestilence? Are you aware that it was a result of withholding water? And so famine is the result of food shortages. Food cannot thrive and grow if there is no water. And when water and food is withheld, man become weak. And in our physical weakness, we rise up strong because we fall on our knees or we reach out and cry out to Abba Yahuah to seek what it is we must do. Whether that what we must do is to rest and die of starvation, knowing that these bodies go back to the earth, while that is happening, still praising Him and saying hallelujah, or whether that is obedience that open our eyes and ears to follow the directions and guidance that leads us to the water, literal water, that will be used to produce literal food. And are you not aware that His word is considered as water? Looking for His word. Are you not aware that Yahusha, the embodiment of the word of Yahuah, is also identified as the bread of life? So there is the literal and the spiritual, O Yashar'al. And it requires wisdom to discern in order that our thirst and our hunger is satisfied. Discipline is required in the process, O Yashar'al. Hebrews 12:11 saying, indeed, no discipline seemed pleasant at the time, but grievous. But afterward it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. Let's be trained by the word of the Almighty Father. Let's be trained by his discipline. Let us understand how to manage the words that he gives us, the food, the water that is presented before us, both literal and spiritual. Consider Proverbs 3:11-14, O Yashar'al. Do not seek excuses and try to justify your actions with words of excuses to preserve your own ego. This is wicked, O Yashar'al, and there are many who will do it. Let us identify those who demonstrate wisdom so that when we are thirsty and hungry, we are satisfied by the ways, by the guidance of the Almighty Father. Proverbs 3:11-14 say, my son, do not despise the discipline of Yahuah. Do not loathe his reproof. Now this can come from a brother or a sister, a pastor, a moray, a bishop, a teacher, a brother or sister, a child. Let us be able to identify. Let us be able to identify the discipline of Yahuah. It says, for whom Yahuah loves, he reproves, as a father the son whom he delights in. Blessed is the man who has found wisdom, and the man who gets understanding. For the gain from it is better than gain from silver, and its increase than fine gold. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, end times are here. While traveling, there will be thirst and hunger. There will be the obedient and the disobedient. As I stated before, imagine those thirsty and hungry and give no thought to nothing else but drinking and eating. This could be unwise if they just drinking the water not realizing it must be shared. Or at the very least, if it's an endless flowing spring of fresh drinking water and everybody crowd to that spring, make room, for the final exodus will prove to be millions traveling, hundreds of thousands traveling. And in the Western Hemisphere, I believe they will be traveling to the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, where we will see an armada of container ships and ships loaded up with those who are set apart and those who will be among us as sojourners. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, we must identify the greedy, the selfish, the unwise, and present the reproof that is required or purge them from our midst, or come away from such individuals. Wisdom will reveal the need to be present. We must know what true wisdom is. We must take under consideration how to wisely manage the resources that will be put before us, how to yield to one another and subject ourselves one towards another as the Spirit of Yahusha so directs. Let us consider both the literal and the spiritual on these matters, O Yashar'al. I want you to review and be prepared for this end time condition. For I say to you, believe it or not, it has begun in some places already. Amos 11:12 says, and see, days are coming, declares the Master Yahuah, that I shall send a hunger in the land, not a hunger for bread, nor a thirst for water, but for hearing the words of Yahuah. I say to you, O Yashar'al, some of the closest individuals that will be among us are those who will demonstrate a hunger for the word of Yahuah and receive it. But there are those who will not seek it. And when they do seek it, it will be too late. Amos 8:12 says, and they shall wander from sea to sea and from north to east. They shall diligently search, seeking the word of Yahuah, but they shall not find it. You see, my brothers and sisters, the time will come when Abba Yahuah will gather his children, and those of the inner court will be brought to the promised land. We will learn why agreements and understanding must be made for things to happen successfully and correctly. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, are you in agreement that we must be prepared to manage the word as the Almighty Father gives it life before us, manage literal water and food as he provides before us, we must understand that there must be agreements and understanding why. Beware of the greedy and selfish. Would a man jump on a wooden boat for a long voyage and let loose termites? Keep that in mind, O Yashar'al. Would it be wise to put ravenous wolves among us as pets? Wild beasts among us as we gather for the final exodus? I think not, O Yashar'al. Wisdom is necessary. We must look at priorities, management. We must guard the things that are presented before us wisely, O Yashar'al. My brothers and sisters, believe it or not, we will learn to identify set-apart behaviors. We will know what it means to be as iron sharpening iron. We will learn what it is to get beyond the conflict and get under the blood of the Lamb and ask and seek forgiveness, repent and be renewed and rise up afresh, renewed in the discipline of set-apartness, working together to forge this final exodus. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, it is important to never forget the need to examine all things, question all things. Know the difference between excuses and set-apart reasoning. Philippians 9 through 11 says, "In this I pray that your love might extend more and more in knowledge and all discernment, for you to examine the matters that differ in order to be sincere and not stumbling until the day of Messiah, being filled with the truth, with the fruit, of righteousness through Yahusha, Messiah, to the esteem and praise of the Almighty One." There are disciplines, there are actions, there are expectations. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. Let us also be mindful of Matthew chapter 6, verse 33 and 34. For it reads, "But seek first the reign of the Almighty One and his righteousness, and all these shall be added to you. Do not then worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow shall have its own worries. Each day have enough evil of itself." There are wicked, erroneous, and undiscerning teachers that will point you to this verse and say, "Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Y'all gonna take care of me. Don't worry about it." But they fail to say we must pray without ceasing. We must walk being filled with the Spirit. We must seek daily to discern what he's saying. Not worry, but trust and believe he is speaking to us, through us, one towards another, for things to come into place. So don't just take this passage and say, "I'm not going to worry about it." Say, "I'm not going to worry about it, but I will pray about it. I will seek to discern about it. I will respond as Yahusha says, and as the Almighty Father see fit." Luke chapter 11, 9 through 13. That was Matthew 6, 33 through 34. Come with me to Luke chapter 11, verse 9 through 13. For it reads, "I say to you, ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find it. Knock and it shall be opened to you. For everyone asking receives, and he who is seeking finds, and to him who is knocking it shall be opened. And what father among you whose son asks for bread shall give him a stone? And if he asks for a fish, shall give him a snake instead of a fish? Or if he asks for an egg, shall give him a scorpion? If you then being wicked know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more shall your Father from heaven give the set-apart spirit to those asking him? Look for the thirsty and the hungry, for out of thirst and hunger comes questions where we ask. And when we ask, let us seek to discern the wisdom in the answers, if they are indeed so set apart, O Yashar'al. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, wisdom, thirsty, hungry. Take these matters under consideration. Do not just drink haphazardly. Do not read his word recklessly. Seek to discern the life in the text, lest you find yourself facing a regrettable experience. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters. Wisdom, thirsty, hungry. Are we ready to look at all the dynamics regarding the details and processes to what it takes to come together? The 144,000 in great multitude mentioned in Revelation 7 chapter will come to be. So many expect to be among the ranks of the gathered, but are unwilling to do the work that is necessary to make this happen. But we will discover those chosen will see the discipline that is promised by the Almighty Father. I submit to you, Yashar'al. Begin to receive what is coming to you. And if you are hearing words that are set apart, that are bringing life or refreshment to your spirit, do you not know you have an obligation to share that with another brother or sister, or with brothers or sisters? Do you not know that if you receive anything from the Almighty Father, in many cases, as much as you receive, so shall you give. The more you give, the more you receive. And this not only goes with natural and practical things, at times, it also goes with the nourishment from the spiritual word from the Almighty Father, the bread of Yahusha, representing examples, demonstrating the functions of set apartness. Identify the wise, thirsty, and hungry. And I assure you, these are those who seek to grow and are growing in maturity, those who will be widely needed to fulfill this final exodus. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, let us begin to consider what it takes to witness a set-apart exodus, what it takes to leave the wicked nation, the wicked system, and come together, ultimately to the promised land, ultimately centered around the true Mount Sinai, which is currently known as Yahusha, situated in the northwest quadrant of what is now known as Saudi Arabia. Millions will come, millions will gather. The Almighty Father will fulfill his promises to his children, O Yashar'al. What say you? Let us visit Psalms 1:1 through 1:6, for I am compelled to share this for such a time as this, my brothers and sisters. Psalms 1:1 through 6 says, "Blessed is the man who shall not walk in the counsel of the wrong." Are you not aware that there are some community heads, some pastors, some preachers, some teachers, some mores, some spiritual influencers who are providing wrong counsel, not being led by the Spirit, only led by their own egos? Beware, my brothers and sisters. It's saying, shall not stand in the path of sinners and shall not sit in the seat of scoffers. Blessed is the man who shall not walk in counsel of the wrong, and shall not stand in the path of sinners, and shall not sit in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the Torah. So blessed is the man whose delight is in the Torah, instruction of Yahuah. And he meditates in his Torah day and night. For he shall be as a tree planted by the rivers of water. Are you thirsty? What are the rivers of water producing? Trees, strong individuals who know how to yield and listen to the word of Yahuah that comes to us as water, that yields its fruit in its season, and whose leaf does not wither, and whatever he does prosper. The wrong are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind blows away. Therefore the wrong shall not rise in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of righteousness. For Yahuah knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the wrong comes to naught, O Yashar'al. My brother, my sister, hear these words, my brothers and sisters. Concerning husbands and wives, I speak of it often. And some of you may flee or come away because I mentioned polygyny. But do you not know, O Yashar'al, that the very book, the very scriptures themselves are centered around the children of Yaakov, whose name was changed to Yashar'al, who is the embodiment of a polygynous marriage? Do you not know the 12 tribes did not come from a single father and mother? Came from a single father who had multiple wives. A single father, Yaakov, Yashar'al, who had multiple wives. So hear these words, O Yashar'al, for I submit to you that Yahusha Mashiach has a bride with many members, whom he treat collectively as one bride. Hear these words, O Yashar'al, as I read Ephesians 5:22-27. Wives, subject yourselves to your own husbands, as to the master, because the husband is head of the wife, as also the Messiah is head of the assembly, and he is Savior of the body. But as the assembly is subject to Messiah, so also let the wives be to their own husbands in every respect. But it didn't stop there. It say, husband, love your wives, as Messiah also did love the assembly and gave himself for it, in order to set it apart and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. Wisdom, thirsty and hungry. The power of water, my brothers and sisters. Let us not take for granted the literal in the spiritual. He goes on to say, in order to present himself a splendid assembly, not having spot or wrinkle or any of this sort, but that it might be set apart and blameless. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, the Western culture have us believe polygyny is wrong. And I'm not saying multiple husbands, I'm saying multiple wives. If you have the conviction to have one wife, then so be it. We recognize it, we honor it. But don't push your convictions on those who are charged to watch over and cover multiple wives. We must learn to accept all the components and dynamics of a set-apart nation coming together. A set-apart nation that was forged from a polygynous marriage. And if you are called to be single, let not the one with a single wife, the husband and wife, try to push on you that you need a wife. Or to the wife, you need a husband. Let us not push our convictions. Let us look at all the dynamics and components of a set-apart nation and receive them with thanksgiving and praise. So many people say that they believe the scriptures, but if it doesn't fit their needs or their conditioning, they would rather throw it out. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, end times will prove the embodiment of all nation-building tenets, from being single with no wife or no husband, to being married with one wife, to being married with multiple wives. All of these are components in representing a set-apart nation. Pray and watch, for there's a necessity. Don't fight and kick against the components that bring about making Yashar'al whole. You see, my brothers and sisters, these things are necessary to complete the final Exodus successfully. My brother, my sister, what's most important is the bride of Yahusha. Regardless of what people have done to abuse polygyny, let us not take that to mean we won't demonstrate how it's supposed to be done in a set-apart way. Now, I have one wife. That is my call. That is my charge as of this time. So I don't want you to think that I got multiple wives. That's why I'm saying this. But I will be prepared, and for whatever state I'm in, to do what I am ordered to do, to contribute towards the building up of a set-apart nation. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, there will be endless water. The word of Abba Yahuah is Yahusha. And John 14:26 lets us know that Yahuah sent his spirit in Yahusha's name to remind us, to comfort us, to bring wisdom, to teach us, to work in us, through us, one towards another. Consider these words, O Yashar'al. Consider these words when you get before someone that's always trying to take the English scriptures and take it to, and trying to tell you they're taking it to the Hebrew. And they're not saying this is modern Hebrew, which is Aramaic. That's not the pure language. They're not explaining to you it's in part. But as end times get intense, O Yashar'al, you will see we will not have time to be going, well, this is the modern Hebrew, which is Aramaic, which is not the pure lip. And that means this, but then bring you back to the English. We who are Yahudah. Yahudah is the scepter of Yahusha. Yahudah carries the scepter, O Yashar'al, will lead in this final exodus. And the language that we have been charged with at this point is English. And you will see as end times ramp up, it will not be time to be going from English to modern Hebrew, knowing that it's Aramaic, trying to figure out, is it Paleo, going back and forth. We will understand as we meet individuals from other tribes and nations, even Yehudim, from other areas of the world with different languages. We will witness that it is the function, the action, that will bring about a universal way of communicating as we migrate to complete the final exodus and witness the pure lip be restored as Yahusha sees fit. Endless water is when the Spirit of Yahuah constantly gives you something. You read a passage, you get something out of it that feeds your spirit, that draws you closer to Yahuah. You read it again, you get something else out of it. You read it again, you get something else out of it. There are those who are undiscerning how the written text, when made alive, is as endless water, so they would rather confuse people or misrepresent those who are obedient and say, I don't know what they're doing, they're creating their own doctrine. If the words in which one is presented to you connect, if they connect and feed your spirit and draws you closer, that's not a new doctrine. Now, if they conflict and fight, something is wrong. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, understand what it means by endless water, endless instructions from the Spirit of Yahusha. And this is what I want you to sincerely seek the life in this passage. John 4:13 and 14. It reads, Yahusha answered, said to her, everyone drinking of this water shall thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water I give him shall certainly never thirst. And the water that I give him shall become in him a fountain of water, springing up into everlasting life. This is the scriptures coming alive. This is set apart words coming from one brother or sister or child to another that comes with the wisdom of the Spirit of the Almighty Father. Endless words, endless instruction. Know the importance of the literal versus what is spiritual, O Yashar'al, and you shall find a joy and satisfaction in such. My brothers and sisters, we must discern the work at hand and act. We must begin to do more, to respond more. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, what say you on these matters? What say you, my brother, my sister? The Spirit of Yahusha will prove the need for identifying those who understand living guidance, for they will demonstrate wisdom as we seek to satisfy our thirst and hunger. We will recognize what is required for these things to be, O Yashar'al. I want us to prepare to witness demonstrations regarding wisdom, thirsty, and hungry, these words. Let us not only witness the actions that will come out of obedience to the Almighty Father's Spirit working in us and through us, but let us know we must be participants in demonstrating that wisdom. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, end times are here. Prepare to witness things become more and more intense. Prepare to witness uncertainty ramp up. Prepare to witness famine, pestilence, and disease, much greater than we see now. But to he who is the child of the Almighty Father, more than anything, seek to discern how you ought to respond, how we ought to respond. Yashar'al, my brother, my sister, my family, I invite your questions, your communications. I invite your prayers. I invite your fellowship. I pray for your good health. I pray that you have the strength, power, and endurance to press on, no matter what physical state you are in. I pray more than anything that we're able to discern the voice of the Spirit of the Almighty Father Yahuah that comes to us in Yahusha's name. For out of obedience, we will witness the flourishing of a set-apart nation like never imagined. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. I say to you, Shalom, set-apart family. Be advised. There's a purpose for stones crying out. Actually, I want to change that, my brothers and sisters. Pray with me as I make that correction before concluding. My brothers and sisters, we will be thirsty. We will be hungry, literally and spiritually. I want to change this text. And I thank and salute your patience. I'll just say this. To you, my brothers and sisters, one day we will shout hallelujah. We will rejoice in the completion of the things that have been presented before us. We will know what is expected of us. We will act. So my brother and sister, you might say, well, I'm done. I left. I didn't listen to anymore. I didn't wait. Do you not know that sometimes in patience, we exercise the ability to manage these earthen vessels to get and receive all that the Almighty Father would have us to receive? Do you know it is so important to focus on the voice of the Spirit of Yahusha? For this is where our strength will come from, to love one another, to love that stranger who also seeks to worship and obey the Almighty Father, who will no longer be a stranger, but prove to be your brother or your sister. My brothers and sisters, be advised, wisdom, thirsty, and hungry will prove to have their place and require us to act. Are you prepared to act? O Yashar'al? Are we tempting the Almighty Father? Are we being lazy? Do we think we can hide under excuses? Arise and wake up, my brother, my sister. Watch the promises of the Almighty Father become complete in the days ahead. On that note, I salute your patience, your tolerance, your pursuit of set-apartness. I salute you, my brother, my sister, my family. But I want to say this. I like to ask, will you help me? Will you help me? Bring your abilities and skills that the Almighty Father has granted you favor to acquire. Bring your abilities. Bring your resources. Bring your supplies. And if you don't have any of those, or you don't think they're worth anything, let me be the person to tell you all that we have that has been given to us by Abba Yahuah is worth all that he has given us. If at the very least, my brothers and sisters, support what is transpiring financially. I have a cash tag, White Robes Family. White Robes Family is the cash tag. You can reach out, email me, and talk to me. There are other methods to support financially if that's what you want to do. And if you don't even believe that you're a part of the final exodus, but you believe it's going to be, consider being a supporter, a sponsor, one who helps this thing come together. Help with the things that the Almighty Father has given you. Pray, O Yashar'al. Watch as the details come to the surface of how this final exodus will come to be, what work, what processes, what details are necessary. And trust and believe they will. On that note, I say to you, hold your head up, O Yashar'al. Believe end times are here. And trust that the Almighty Father will prove and complete all that he has promised us. On that note, Shalom. Shalom to you, my brother, my sister, my family.